This is the Heart of LAFC podcast, episode 4.
Coming to you directly from sunny Southern California, you are listening to the Heart of LAFC podcast. And now, here is your host, Jerry Jimenez.
What is up? Welcome to the Heart of LAFC podcast. My name is Jerry Jimenez, your host, your friend, your insider into the Los Angeles Football Club. Thank you so much for joining me for our 4th episode of the Heart of LAFC. This is your show. What that means is that you have the power to control what we talk about. Please follow our social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also feel free to drop us a line over at www.heartoflafc.com. Let us know what you want to hear. Who do you want to hear from? What should we talk about? We want to make sure you are getting everything you want out of this show and more. Today, we have Mr. JOSEF Zakhar from Black Army 1850, one of the supporter groups for LAFC. We talk about the origin of the Black Army, the name's meaning. We talk stadium and coaching / player predictions and much more. It's a good one, so let's get right into it. Here's our interview with Black Army 1850. All right, so today, guys, we have the awesome Mr. JOSEF Zakhar with us. JOSEF, is that how am I supposed to say it, JOSEF?
Just call me Joe if you need to, but JOSEF would be the way you pronounce it.
JOSEF. All right, man. Well, he is one of the founding members of the Black Army 1850, one of the bigger supporters of LAFC. They've been around since the Chivas USA days. We're going to talk about all of that, how Black Army 1850 came to be and where they are now within LAFC and the supporter culture that LAFC is building. First off, JOSEF, thank you so much, man, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on.
I think we're going to have you on quite a bit, actually, since you made that investment into a microphone. Can you guys tell? I mean, it sounds amazing.
Oh, he's put me under contract.
You're on contract now. No, it's been recorded. So, but let's talk a little bit about your soccer background and how you first came in contact with the sport, man.
For me, it's kind of a birthright. My dad coached the game, made a living off the game for about 20 years. Coached Mount Sac. I think the first time I was at a game, I was only a couple weeks old on the sidelines of his team playing. So for me, it's been a constant part of my life. It's always been in the background, in the foreground, all around. It's in my blood. Basically, in terms of the professional game and supporting it, first team we ever supported was the Aztecs. I was a little kid at the time.
Awesome.
And basically any pro team that's ever been in Southern California, we've had our season tickets and we spent every dime we could to go see them play, cover them, up until, for the most part, they die off. Beyond that, national team support as well. I followed those guys around before they were cool. I remember getting autographs from players that thanked me for getting the autographs because they never had somebody ask them before. I mean, that's how far back it goes. And watching them, like the U.S. national team play at like Capistrano High School against nobody teams before anybody would really follow them. So for me, it's been from the grassroots, from the bottom up, and it's been an awesome ride to see where it's come.
Man, how does it feel to think back, and say I was there for these games, and now I wouldn't say that they're necessarily super famous, but they're a lot more known now as a professional team within the sport. So how does that feel, man? I can't even imagine.
It's absolutely insane to see how quickly it's turned around. I talk about it like I'm an old man. I'm not even 40 yet. So you know how quickly the advancement's been. It's been from the U.S. not qualifying for a World Cup to nobody caring about the game to it can't get off the ground. Every team folds to now having basically we're going to have 2 stadiums in the city. Permanent ground, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, man, that's it's amazing to hear and to kind of look back at the history of not just the USA team, but the NASL and then MLS. People sometimes try to compare our league to some of these bigger leagues like the Mexican league, the European, what have you, the Italian, and those leagues have been around for you know,
Over
a
100 years. Yeah.
yeah, well over 100 years. And I mean, the MLS has what just now turned 20.
Yep. It just turned 20. It got out of its teens.
So I mean, there's really no comparison, and how quickly it is growing. I think I think we're kind of prepping up for something much much bigger, and hopefully soccer itself just starts really be coming to the forefront, right up there with football, American football, and with baseball. But I think a large part of that is going to be supporters and the supporter culture. And so segue into talking about Black Army 1850, let's talk a little bit about before that. What came before that? And I remember when I first came into the scene, I kept hearing the name of the San Patricios and as a supporter group. So, what are the San Patricios exactly?
Okay, the San Patricios were kind of a crazy idea. Like I said, I supported every team to ever come into town, and usually it was whoever needed the help the most. So it came to the point where I started supporting Chivas USA. It's an MLS team trying to survive. Uh, so that's the direction I took with it. The Galaxy didn't need my help. They didn't really have that community feel for me. So I gave a shot on Chivas USA. Uh, got there, saw the situation, saw that we had really good players, a really good coaching staff, a really promising on the field product, but off the field, in the stands, the focus was not on the team that was actually in the building, but a team 1,000 miles away. So basically, I got together with several other supporters of Chivas USA that strictly wanted to support that team, and in a quick turnaround, basically came up with the San Patricios. Um, it was kind of a name that was thrown on us at the time as we were trying to become a supporter group, and we ran with it for about the first 4 months of our existence. Um, and so it kind of has an infamous feel because we're the first ones to pop up for Chivas USA as an exclusive MLS based supporter group. There's Legion that was there, but again, they were there for Guadalajara, and Chivas USA was kind of practice for them. For us, that was game day, that was everything.
And that was so the name itself was only 4 months.
It didn't last a very long time. It kind of has a checkered history. And it's one of those names where once you hear it, you have to ask about it, and it takes a long explanation. So, it's not the most marketable name, but I know it became infamous because it wasn't around for very long, and the logos looked really cool. So,
Yeah, the logo was pretty awesome. But so skipping on to Black Army 1850, uh, the group itself. Let's talk a little bit about how that came to be.
the Black Army 1850. Well, basically, for a lot of us, we had that spirit of the San Patricios, how we wanted to be the exclusive supporters and how we wanted to be MLS supporters, and not have anybody else really interfering in that process. We had an independent spirit. We had a bit of a mission within the people that ended up becoming Black Army 1850, where we wanted to try to help Chivas USA become more of an LA team, to really adopt the city where it was rather than a city far away. So we took it as a mission on our own to help the team in game days, but also off the field, try to help it market itself, try to create a movement within to be a proper MLS team in the city of Los Angeles.
And Black Army 1850. Why that name exactly? Why the number? And why Black Army?
Black Army is kind of funny. We wanted a kind of an independent spirit, and as we know, Chivas USA wore the red and white. But we kind of looked at what other supporters were doing in other countries. A lot of the influence was, of course, St. Pauli. So we kind of like the black vibe of being kind of the independent look, and maybe we could change things over time with our own club. Army is in itself an army. That's the idea. We're trying to be big. We're trying to grow. We're trying to be a movement. So the supporters within our club voted for it. That was a completely voted on name for Black Army. Same with 1850. Now, 1850 is in reference to Los Angeles and California both joining the Union, joining the United States, to give it that more American feel, more that MLS feel, and to remind everybody where we actually are. And so that's where the 1850 jumped in. And rather than putting Los Angeles in there, our figure is, or our thought is that the 1850 would be that reference.
That's pretty awesome. I always wondered too what 1850 meant, and it's nice to see that it has a connection to not just Los Angeles but also to California.
Yeah. And
So,
for us, California was the big thing because you never know. Chivas USA could have eventually relocated, and we knew it would be here. We didn't know where if they ended up getting a stadium. So it would make a lot of sense if it's a Southern California team to have a California vibe.
awesome, looking ahead.
Yeah,
Always.
that's always been the case with this group. Yeah,
I think that's that's first of all awesome, but it's one of those things that you kind of just were preparing for, because I think you could see that the Chivas USA as a kind of as a experiment for the MLS uh, could go both ways. Unfortunately, it went it went south,
very
but
quickly.
but you guys were prepared for that, and I think from the beginning, the fact that Black Army kind of came around, and the whole point of it was to support MLS and an LA team, not the Guadalajara extension, but rather make Chivas USA an extension of Los Angeles. I think that's
Nothing against Guadalajara, of course. Nothing against Guadalajara. They have a great history. Um, teams one of the most celebrated teams in Mexico, and their massive fan base here shows that as well. So the passion is definitely there, and we respect that all the way. But for us, it was our feel. What we want as supporters, and for us, it was to transform a team and to help a team help itself, to help it survive.
Yeah, and so I know it's been a while now since October 30th, 2014, when it was announced that LAFC would come to be to Los Angeles, and so what has Black Army been up to keep busy during that time? So obviously, I mean, now it's time has flown by, but I know you guys have been very, very active.
Yeah, we just can't stop, can we? Uh, there's no sitting back for this group. So for us, basically, the preparation for what would happen after Chivas USA started before Chivas USA actually folded. Like you see with the color scheme, we knew something was going to give. Either they were going to change, or MLS was going to change it, or it was going to go away. So we adopted a lot of the things that we wanted to see with whatever club would come about after the fact. So you see the black, you see the white. We even had scarves and tifo that had red and gold in it. Following off of rumors. To be honest, it didn't take long to wait for another team. I believe it was 2 days after they folded Chivas USA, LAFC was announced. So it was that quick, and their color schemes were black, white, and red. So for us, it was like, well, it's what we wanted, and even the colors fit.
Yeah.
So we basically, from that point forward, once the announcement occurred, and even before the announcement, we're like, whatever pops up, if it's MLS, we know what they want from it. We're going to support it fully. And so basically, we became an advertising arm, and a bit of a conscience, for what they were going to do with LAFC. And that's been our mission. So a lot of the stuff we've been doing has been charity work throughout the city. There's a big focus on the homeless community. So we do a lot of events related to that. Feeding LA is a big thing for us as well. So we really, most of our events lately have been either gatherings to get everybody together to keep us fresh, or charity events. And so that's where we've been at.
That's awesome, man. And I've seen the pictures, and I know there's been a few events that I haven't personally been able to make, but I know everybody's always invited to these. So I always, keep up with Black Army on social media. We'll give a little bit more of that information near the end, so everybody can check you guys out, and definitely, come and actually be involved with those events as well. Yeah. So let's see, man. What else can I ask you? There's so many questions. There's so many things. Joseph has so much knowledge. Like, I wish I could pick his brain forever and ever, but he has so graciously joined us here. It's 10 o'clock at night, and we're recording this. So, Joseph, really appreciate it. Let's move on to predictions, man. What do you think is
Ooh.
next? I mean, we've talked about LAFC in general, right now, I mean, the biggest thing is our stadium. I believe as of today, there is nothing left of the Memorial Sports Arena. I think, right?
That's well, pretty much. So the company that's doing it, they do both. They do the construction, they do the demolition, they also do the recycling of the land to make sure that it's clean. So what I've noticed is, yeah, they've taken down all the cement, trucked it out. Whatever dirt is there, they're basically grinding it, recycling it, and making it filler for when the stadium actually gets constructed. So if you look in it right now, there's a bunch of mounds of sand because they're moving sand in and cleaning the sand that currently exists. So they're basically getting ready to lay the foundation or at least dig in about 20 feet deep, like they said they were going to do. It's
Yeah, man.
great to see it happening.
Oh, it's so cool to be able to just click, a link, and all of a sudden you can see it live happening. It's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, it's completely nuts. And then just to see the skyline now that the other stadium's gone, you're like, wow, they did pick the perfect place to put a stadium.
Oh yeah, and I'm hoping that all of the renderings pretty much show that downtown skyline through what is basically the north end corner. Uh,
Yeah. So
is
basically, if you go through the northeast corner, from anywhere inside the stadium, if you can view out of it, you're looking right at downtown. If you're in the upper deck, behind the north goal, you get an unobstructed view of downtown and the Coliseum. So the look of LA is always going to be featured in our games.
That is so awesome, man. And we kind of went a little bit on a tangent on that, and I think that is totally going to be in its own episode where we can talk about the stadium and some of the stuff. Because I did talk to Pat. Shout out to Patrick Aviles,
Hey,
who
Pat.
was on this show. Check out episode. Actually, he's going to be episode number 2. And he was our first guest. We talked a little bit about the meeting that the supporter groups had with Gensler, the architects, and you guys actually were a part of it as well. I believe, Joseph, you were there.
I was definitely there.
So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later on and keep people in suspense. But um, let's talk a little bit about now what happens next. What do you think is the most important step for LAFC at this point in time?
Well, the soccer side of things.
Yeah.
The construction is happening. It's got its targets. It's going to be built. So now they have to figure out where they're going to practice at. Then they have to figure out who's going to run those practices and who's going to bring in the players to actually practice. So that's the soccer side of things. So Mr. Thorrington has a busy job on his hands. I think I'm pretty much certain they know where they're going to train at. I can't wait for them to announce what they're going to do. Seeing that there's a team that can build a $350 million stadium, I'm pretty sure they can place the training center wherever they feel.
I know there's been
So-
talks about a couple of different areas. I know there's always that, that frowned upon idea that they could possibly go to the OC since it's not Los Angeles and blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about that?
I'm kind of hoping that it's not an OC, or if it is an OC, they'll have multiple locations. It's far. It's a long distance from where they play. Is the land great? Is it a great location? Without a doubt. But if you pride yourself as LAFC, one would hope that your training for at least your A-level team, your top-level team, will be much closer to home. I would think it would be awesome if that became a training center for the youth. So maybe have 2 locations. Can dream, right? So they have something to look forward to as they move up. But the land is a cool idea. I get it, but I do think for the top team, they need to be much closer to home.
So you're thinking, or you're at least hoping that it would be closer to the downtown area, closer
Yeah.
to the Exposition Park itself.
Close enough where you can see the skyline.
Man, one can hope, right? We'll see.
Right.
Hopefully that would be the next announcement. And then what would we move on to? Coach next? Or do we get a player first?
I think the player is the farthest down the line. It's still time to go there. You won't be hearing about it until at least the transfer window. So I'm figuring by summertime, we'll probably hear something. The rumors will be strong. I do know from what I have heard, agents are contacting our team. There's a lot of people that want to play here, especially with the new stadium, the new vibe, and apparently very wealthy owners. So there is interest in coming here from big names. That's happening. Um, it's just taking the wise choice and not choosing a player simply to retire. It's to choose people that are hungry and still want to win something.
Yeah, I don't think age should matter too much as long as that player still has it in him to want to win and want to really, give
Yeah,
his all
it's
for the jersey. Obviously, I mean, you're not gonna go with, uh, you know,
Schweinsteiger who's limping everywhere. Or, as much as I love the guy, I think he's a legend. I would question it in a league like ours. Um, yeah, they need somebody who's not, who's in shape, who's not nursing injuries all the time, who's in the game and who's passionate. And there's plenty of great players out there that would love to move here and give it their all. So
yeah.
they're out there, and I'm sure the people in charge that we have, they hear us, they listen. We've known that already. They're gonna find the right people.
Yeah, I have no question on my mind that will happen. I believe John Thornton is more than capable. I think he has that experience. He has those connections, from
Mhm.
very young on, from his Manchester United days to, uh, even uh, with MLS. I think he knows a lot of people, and I think he understands the league enough to where those decisions, the right ones, are going to be made. Um, I just hope they don't take too long, man. I just want to get some more, actually some news from the sporting side of things. Like I can't wait.
I think they're enjoying dragging it out as well because it does keep people on their toes. If they just throw everything out there, then they're gonna have a long time to have to wait.
I know, right? Those jerks.
Yes, I get it. I totally get it why it's taking a while. And come on, this is a huge decision. It's our first ever season. You can't go out there and get killed every game.
I think they
So they,
realize that, and they need to really, really think it through and really make sure that that decision is right, and so that the majority of people will be happy with whatever they choose to do.
well, you can't make everyone happy. Uh, that's
Exactly.
that's the thing. You need to do what works best for your club on a long term level.
Yeah.
And no, am I expecting a playoff team the first year or a chance at a championship? No, that's foolish. But I do expect a team that fights, that's organized, that plays a system that our youth players can work into. And I think that's what they're looking for as well.
Yeah, and you just never know, man. I mean, Cholos did it over at Liga MX, so
It took them what, 2 seasons to win the whole thing?
no, man, their first season.
The first in the first division.
Yeah, first official in the first division.
Ah, well, maybe their coach might be available from that year.
I think he
Get
actually
get Mohamed to be
Mohamed.
interested in it.
Yeah, exactly. I think he might be, man.
That would be
That would be
hilarious.
awesome. So, coach, what are we thinking, Joseph? Who are you hoping?
Well, I just kind of name dropped one. I think Mohamed would be interesting because I know he speaks both Spanish and English.
Hmm.
He can play the press both ways, and the guy knows how to win. Wherever he goes, he knows how to win. If they take a conservative approach, I think Siggy Schmidt would come in if they're going to take a conservative approach. If they're trying to turn heads, then they're going to have to look overseas. Get somebody that we'd never expect, something out of the blue.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if a Dutch coach ended up coaching us.
Yeah, I think they're gonna end up. I think again, LAFC is one of those teams that likes the surprise and the turning heads
Yeah,
approach, and the media aspect of it, and growing the team itself. I mean, see how they announced, Will Ferrell as an owner. It kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of
exactly.
how they've been doing things. Kind of we're kind of out of the blue, and we're all like, "What in the world is going on?" All of a sudden, you have this European coach that nobody ever thought we could even possibly have, and I think that's a possibility. I think Sigi Schmidt. I also have been kind of a supporter of him in coming because I feel like well, not only does he have the experience, but he has won a couple of cups. I know he didn't do all that great in Seattle. I mean, he was there for a long time. I don't think that.
I debate you on that. I think he did. I mean, look what he built. A competitive team. They don't miss the playoffs. Their core is strong. It's not his fault that Obafemi Martins took off on them. That's not his fault. He can't do anything about that. You lose your leading scorer, you're going to be in trouble no matter who the coach
Yeah.
is. I think his situation was rough. It was looking good. If Martins was still on the team, where do you think they'd be at right now? I think they'd be a contender. So, I get what happened. And I do know that he does play extremely conservative, and that does throw people off. Um, but he built a good foundation. Would he be the one to turn them into champions? Maybe not, but he definitely have the foundation built.
Yeah. So, designated players. This is one that's,
Yeah.
man, there's so many players out there. It's ridiculous. So I've been trying to find, just kind of just looking through and people that might be available during that time and things like that. It's ridiculous how many players there are out there. So this is like a complete just shot into the dark. What it's kind of more talking about who we want and hope that LAFC can bring. And obviously they have the money. So what are we thinking, Joe?
Yeah, they have the money. It's a nice wish list. I just hope that they keep relevant players that aren't just here for the paycheck or just for the name on the back of the shirt. I mean, that's my big concern. But you can still get top level talent that will still sell tickets and sell shirts and still be a big contributor. All right, so I'm thinking Mesut Ozil would be a great choice. He's been rumored. They put graphics up in the stadium, kind of suggesting things. And he's made the comment that LA inspires him. He said that. That wasn't made up. He said that. He's known to vacation here, to be here. There's a couple other Bayern players that I know come out here. I think Boateng has spent some time out here. Alaba has spent some time out here. So from my standpoint of watching German soccer, I know those two could be options. Maybe a Mexican star, but not too old. Maybe Chicharito eventually. I don't know. We go him right away because he's on the rise. But another player that would be more towards the decline or kind of at his apex would be, let me see, who would be a good choice? Guardado. That would be honestly my number one outside of Ozil would be Guardado.
And Guardado has been already kind of rumored to be coming to the MLS.
Yes. I think it would be a great option.
I think he was rumored not just for LAFC, but also for Atlanta. And there's a couple of other names that have been rumored for Atlanta. I mean, you see that great hire of Tata Martino, and it's amazing what the MLS now is able to do. So I think that LAFC has quite a big potential for getting some huge DPs.
If you can get a Martino to coach in Atlanta, what are you going to get to coach in Los Angeles? What kind of talent's going to come here to be in that stadium and that environment with the connections our team has? Sky's the limit on who's available. I mean, anybody comes for the right price, so it's just who do you want to run with?
Yeah.
It could be a real shocker. Same with the players. There's so many options. It'll make your head spin with all these.
yeah, we can talk for days, like I said, for just how much potential that there is within the group, and I think a large part of that is going to be also the input that the supporters are putting in. Supporter groups like the Black Army, and how do you see? What's your kind of I don't want to say vision, for opening day at Bank of California Stadium, sitting in the stand, or I'm sorry, not sitting. We don't sit, we stand. What is that? Right?
The wrong town. You gotta go about 8 miles to Carson for something like that.
I'm gonna edit that out. No, I'm not. We keep it real around here. No, but it's standing and chanting for your team. How do you see that, man?
It's going to be surreal. It's going to be a surreal experience, and in the moment, it's going to be pretty much a blur. Game day, the tailgates are going to be insane, and you know how Black Army is with their tailgates. Everything's got a theme, so you can only imagine what opening day is going to be like. I think you're going to get a massive march to the match. The property that we're on has streets that are perfect for that. So you get to make the pomp and circumstance and come in and just go in blazing from the start. Once in the stadium, the environment is going to be unlike any other. We have the closest seats of any supporter section to the field. the steepest seats in the history of MLS. So anything anybody says, anything that we yell, it's going to carry. It's going to be on every broadcast. It's going to dominate. So for our end, yeah, we're going to make some freaking noise.
I worry for the opposing team's goalie, to be honest with you.
He better wear something.
Some helmets
or something. Yeah, he's going to be in a world of hurt because he's not going to hear his own players. I mean,
man.
That's really where we're going to be at with this. The way the stadium is designed, it's set for that. In terms of TIFO, yeah, we're going to have massive TIFO for that first game. We're going to have it for basically any major game. You're going to see it, on point, something that's not seen before. We're going to try some new things that no supporters have tried before because this is LA. This is where ideas come from, and we better have some ideas on game day. I wouldn't be surprised if the pulley system was enacted like you see in Portland. It works. It keeps it off the supporters' bodies and doesn't interfere. But man, when the stuff goes up, you can't miss it. So yeah, there's going to be some noise. There's going to be some style. We're going to develop our own type of supporter culture. It's going to be a hybrid. I can't wait to do it.
Awesome, man. That sounds like a great vision. I think there's a lot of people out there who can clearly see that just the way that you explained that. So let's cut it off here. I think, Joseph, I'm going to have you come back on, man, sometime soon. We're going to discuss a couple more things, get a little bit more into detail with the stadium. Hopefully next time we'll have a little bit more information as far as what the north end is going to look like, some stuff that's in there. I know I asked some questions of Pat, and he kind of answered them, kind of didn't.
Semi-top secret, Yeah. You can't give it all up.
Yeah.
Again, you got to slowly get the information released and keep everybody on their toes. And I'm more than willing to play along with that because it's so much fun too.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Joseph, for coming on. Let's talk about how people can join Black Army. How can we find out a little bit more about Black Army and start that conversation if people want to join you guys?
How do you join? You simply join. You go to the events and see us. One of the things, of course, go to our website. Always go to our website, go to our social media to get there. Register with us. If you register, then you're a part of our mailing list. So you're going to get the heads up on everything that we do way ahead of time. That includes sales, events, where we're going to be, where we're going to show up. We promote our own events. We support and promote LAFC events as well on there to make sure that there's always a strong number of LAFC supporters. And any event we create, it's welcome to all supporters and supporter groups. We're a giant family here. You're not going to have a monster section if everybody's not working together. And so we're trying everything we can for all the supporter groups to feel as welcome as possible and to collaborate because that's going to win the day. So go to our website, register at Black Army 1850. The website is ba1850.com to check on our website. Register, get on the mailing list. We also have a phone-based chat that we use. And once you get registered, we'll direct you to that as well. So you can stay in the loop and talk to some of our supporters. It's getting big. We're almost reaching capacity with that. That's how popular things are getting and how much all the groups are growing. So don't miss out. You're at the ground level right now. So you're going to be a part of the wave. Don't miss out. Join us and be a part of this.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I've said it before. This is history. We're making history together. It's a big deal, so you don't want to miss out on it. Again, that was Mr. Joseph Zakhar. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. It's definitely a pleasure.
Again, Black Army 1850. You can find them at ba1850.com, ba1850.com. Then they're also on Twitter, Instagram, at Black Army 1850. One more time, Joseph, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
That was Joseph with Black Army 1850. Thanks to him for taking the time to speak with us. A lot is going on right now in the LAFC world. Just this past weekend, they held a viewing party for the USA versus Mexico game where El Tri was the victor 2-1 versus the Yanks. We won't talk about that because I get sad and I don't want to cry. Hey, but seriously, Christian Pulisic, can we steal him from Borussia Dortmund and bring him to LAFC, please? Anyways, that is going to do it for this episode of The Heart of LAFC. Make sure you send us all your comments, questions, suggestions over at heartoflafc.com. Go to the contact page and send us whatever you want. My name is Jerry Jimenez. Everyone, please be good to each other and stay golden.